Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call this meeting of Planning and Economic Development Committee for Tuesday, May the 7th, 2024 to order. It looks like we don't have a quorum when you're looking at the camera, but we have a couple of our members that are doing virtual attendance today. So we'll start off, Madam Clerk, with the roll call, please. All right. Next, declarations of pecuniary interest. Seeing or hearing none, thank you. I have a motion to adopt the minutes of our meeting of April the 2nd, 2024. Thank you, Councillor Kerr, seconded by Chair Henry. Oh, you reached for your ear. I thought you were... Any comments, questions, or otherwise? So to make it easier, because we have more people online than in here, I'll ask if anybody's opposed to approving the minutes. Seeing and hearing none, then that carries. There are no statutory public meetings. First off, we have a presentation. Manager of Transportation and Planning, Greg, where's Greg? There's Greg. And Chris Leach, Principal Planner, and Anshi Lugman, is that how you say your name?
Anissa.
Anissa, I'm sorry.
Lachman.
Oh, and our consultant is here then. Okay, thank you. So who did most of the work? Anyway, when you're ready, Greg, thanks.
Thanks a lot. Good morning, Chairman Chapman and fellow committee members. Thank you for this opportunity to present on a significant milestone in the region's sustainable development journey, the 2024 Durham Transit-Oriented Development TOD strategy. This strategy represents a collaborative effort by our planning and economic development teams, local area municipalities, and community stakeholders. It provides a comprehensive framework for shaping our transit-oriented areas, ensuring that they align with our vision for a vibrant, connected, and resilient Durham region. The following presentation will provide you an overview of the report that is before you for endorsement for a Durham region-specific TOD strategy. This strategy serves as a toolbox, a set of common reference points for planning and designing TOD places across our region. I'll now pass it on to Melanie Hare of Urban Strategies, who will provide a snapshot of the TOD strategy as the first half of the presentation, followed by Anissa Lutchman and Chris Leach of the Planning Division, who will speak to how this strategy applies to Durham. Mel?
Good morning, Chairman Chapman and members of committee. Pleasure to be here to provide you a brief overview of the Durham TOD strategy. As in many ways, Durham has been ahead of the curve. When you created the 2010 TOD strategy, we were one of the first regions across the Greater Golden Horseshoe to have such a thing to help guide the integration of land use planning, growth planning, and transit planning. You know, even ahead of the provincial guidelines on the TOD guidelines. So here again in 2024, this is a refresh of that document, and we've worked closely with staff and stakeholders over the last 9 months, I think, to create a revised, updated TOD strategy. This update is not only an opportunity to align, you know, the world that is Durham and all the advancements with Durham Transit, et cetera, but it's also to align with the latest regional official plan, the Envision Durham plan, and the regional priorities. And so the document is set up, as I walk you through it, very much in order to kind of make sure that that alignment is quite clear and those that people can understand how that works. So I'm going to see if I can make this work. Here we go. So the objectives of the TOD strategy, what were we trying to achieve, and how is this set up? What are the objectives? So as Greg has said, to provide clear direction for community design, mobility, and public realm around transit as it evolves in Durham region. And it's quite context specific. So we have taken lessons learned from other places around the world around TOD guidelines, but we've really tried to apply them in a context specific way to the very diverse region of Durham. And those are in the planned TOD places. I'll speak to those in a minute. It looks at ways to which TOD can advance regional priorities. You'll see the 7 regional priorities on the right-hand side of this slide. You'll be very familiar with those as committee members and council members. So I'm not going to go into those in detail, but we wanted to really make sure we were tying together the TOD guidelines and the strategies with these priorities and using those as kind of the foundation. But it also was an opportunity to identify opportunities to ensure that TOD is meeting the needs of the region's diverse population and diverse landscape and context in terms of urban places, rural places, evolving places, and growth areas. But there finally is a way to, an objective is to identify ways to partner with area municipalities, agencies, and the development industry, because the region alone cannot, achieve TOD. And so bringing all of those parties together, and Anissa and Chris will speak a little bit more about some of the tools and strategies that are in the document related to that. So one of the first components is to look at the region of Durham and think about the places distinctly have the ability to deliver TOD. Some of those are quite well advanced. Some of those are greenfield and planning coming forward, intending to be TOD places. And this is very much aligning with the priority growth areas in the official plan. But across Durham, there are 31 in particular. There are 31 of those dots, if you will. You won't be able to read them necessarily on the screen. But not only are there 31, they are very distinct, and so thinking about, but there are different typologies, and so there are 7 typologies which the document gives guidance on. The highest priority for growth areas are defined as the PMTSAs and UGCs, and according to the regional official plan. So the GO stations are the PMTSAs and have the potential to accommodate growth around the regional rail transit. The 2 mixed-use hubs in Pickering and Oshawa, your UGCs, have the highest potential to support transit-oriented development, pedestrian-friendly communities. However, there are other places which also are along transit infrastructure, historic places, institutional nodes, and other things where we're trying to ensure people can easily access transit and other modes of transportation to get to, from, and expand their experience. This slide is a zoom in on that previous slide. So the previous slide captured all of the region of Durham. Here we're on the Lake Ontario shoreline portions, the urban areas, and you can sort of see up close a view of some of the TOD places. The color coding in the document is indicating the 7 different typologies. And just to give you a little bit of a snapshot within how we further delve into each of those places types in the strategy. There is, for each place type, in this case, large retail centers, a series of information that would be available to somebody that was interested in either at the staff level or development level or community level to understand what is supposed to be coming forward here. So recognizing that TOD requires a context specific, there's a section 2 which is specifically only on the TOD categorizing strategic growth areas by their distinct characteristics. And so here you see there's an image of one of the places. There's a diagram which illustrates the kind of potential that could come forward and some guidance, but also identification of the type places, the exact places that we're talking about across the region, and then guidelines or ambitions for what could happen there. Here's an example, for a mixed-use hub. And you'll see that we've extrapolated from that page, but you see both the common characteristics of what is a mixed-use hub and why are those attributes relevant to TOD. And then it also identifies the places which have been identified as mixed-use hubs. So one of the things we tried to do very much in the document is to make sure that it's fairly user-friendly and the cross-referencing back to actual places and regional priorities is quite clear. I'd mentioned that there was a conceptual plan for each of the typologies, and here's the example for mixed-use hubs. So this is not a real place in Durham. This is kind of a conceptual depiction of some of the key strategies. And you'll see that in this case, there are 7 that are identified for mixed-use hubs. So establishing a mixed-use focus area, which is the circle you see under the number 1. So at that core intersection, that four corners, that is the mixed-use focus area. Thinking about incremental intensification in the areas and particular sites that might be appropriate or soft sites coming forward. Opportunities for intensification of larger retail uses. There's quite a few of those, as we know, across Durham. Thinking about how the retail stays in place, and that function may stay in place, but there could be redevelopment and intensification. There's also things like a suite of TDM and mobility enhancements, and thinking about how that could play out on the ground in this instance in a mixed-use hub. Micromobility, alternative parking standards, and pedestrian improvements. So these depictions, these conceptual place types are an attempt to kind of demonstrate in a visual way how the strategies are to be deployed. The third section of the document is the TOD guidelines themselves, and there are 6 components of these guidelines. The first 3, mobility, public realm, and land use, you can see here. And this is the section where we get into a fair amount of detail around what we're talking about in terms of advancing mobility, public realm, or land use. All of these are key components to TOD. And so not to read the slide out to you exactly, but, for example, around mobility, how do we prioritize more sustainable modes of travel, and so people have transportation choice? How do we establish a connected pattern of streets? How do we create connected and rapid transit corridors throughout the region and provide clear and direct pedestrian routes? So you see the directions and the guidelines really speak to a full range of travel modes, but also at various scales and helping people to get to their destination. Public realm is a real focus of we can't just simply build density and people mobility. Part of the quality of life is ensuring that the public realm is a high and varied interest and quality. So creating safe and comfortable spaces, the guidelines speak to those. Developing of diverse and connected open spaces networks so they're not isolated, so there's actually kind of an experience that one can traverse through as they move through the urban fabric. And elements such as public art and placemaking can help to enhance those experiences. So there are, just to capture this briefly for the committee, there are also the guidelines related to built form, parking management and design, and transit station design. So these are, again, the other 3 components that are critical in the ingredients to TOD, and the guidelines speak to things like in built form, ensuring transit supportive densities, which are complementary to the strategic growth area densities, and compact urban forms, what that could look like, how people are accessing, how do you do transition. Similarly, integrating a variety of building types and scales, so there's not a monotony, but there's actually a varied built form and interest level that responds to the context. Design excellence and sustainable community design are all aspects of the guidelines for built form. Parking management and design is something we thought was very important to kind of bring forward and refresh the guidelines from 2010, because so much has happened in thinking about managing parking, shared parking, locating parking, how parking structures are designed as an integrated part of the fabric. And then transit station design is something that's evolving as we speak, and thinking about all the work that you're doing with Metrolinx and Durham Transit, ensuring that the transit stations are embedded and elevated so that there's a prominence and an ease of understanding how to access transit. The design of the transit stops to make sure they're inviting places, that the experience of taking transit is a positive one. And then advancing TOD at and around the GO stations when you're talking about spaces that may be surface parking now, that could be something more in the future, et cetera, et cetera. So here's an example, just a one page I'm going to take you through, which speaks to how the document is laid out with regard to the guidelines. So there are a guideline and a description of what was trying to be achieved. There's connections to the regional priorities. You can see the 3 blue dots here. There is a reference to where this is appropriate, which kind of places are most appropriate for these guidelines. There are then the guidelines themselves, and there are some examples of what this could look like and should look like as the development evolves through in the region of Durham. So again, the document is meant to be very user-friendly, kind of cross-referencing and always aligning with the broader regional priorities. The fourth section of the document speaks to implementation, and so guidelines and policies and objectives are only so good if you can figure out how to make them, who needs to be at the table and how to make them happen. And so the implementation section is set up with four key elements. One is around the role, awareness, and relevance of the TOD strategy, how to use it. In other words, who the partners could be in advancing TOD and what kind of working relationships there could be, structures for effective collaboration, and thinking about that as a set of tools, and then thinking about measuring success, monitoring and managing, and what that could look like. And so to take you a little more detail on that, I'd ask, I think I'm passing to Anissa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Melanie. So I'll be speaking to the role of the strategy and opportunities for partnership and collaboration. The TOD strategy is a tool for the region, the area municipalities, the development industry, and the community, both residents and landowners, for building awareness around the value and means to achieve TOD. The intention of the TOD strategy is to complement approved and ongoing planning initiatives, and is also intended to align regional priorities for transit, road, and servicing infrastructure to areas where increased densities and mixed use should occur with a high-quality public realm. The guidelines contained in the strategy provide direction into background studies for new development, such as mobility impact assessments as part of transportation impact studies, as well as new urban design guidelines. So successful TOD involves partnerships to ensure that the placemaking, inclusiveness, mobility, mixed use, and infrastructure objectives related to TOD are achieved. Complementary initiatives at a regional level include the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, the Climate Resilience and Community Energy Plan, and Metrolink station delivery for the new GO stations on the Bowmanville East Extension. There is also involvement in citizen advisory committees related to TOD, including the Durham Active Transportation Committee, the Transit Advisory Committee, and the Durham Environment and Climate Advisory Committee. Area municipalities, the province, including Metrolinks, and landowners and developers also play a key role in advancing TOD through secondary and tertiary plans, upcoming area municipal official plan reviews, GO expansion and extension to Bowmanville, and developers working in partnership with municipalities and agencies. The TOD strategy identifies deliberate and committed approaches to collaboration for creating TOD places. The newly established Rapid Transit Implementation and Transit-Oriented Development Office under the Works and Planning and Economic Development Departments forms a great starting point to implement the infrastructure and guidelines in terms of the major transit station areas. Also, as part of Envision Durham, an area municipal working group regularly met as part of the regional official plan review, and this structure can continue regular collaboration on growth management data and in TOD places. This section of the strategy also identifies TOD working groups internally at the region and externally, including Metrolinks and other development partners. There are opportunities to be explored as well in terms of sites to spearhead affordable housing and mixed use, for example, in one or more identified TOD places, and also an opportunity to incorporate an equity and inclusion lens to transit that can help prioritize potential locations for TOD. Monitoring and managing TOD helps to measure the success of TOD over time across the region. I will now pass it to Chris to talk about the monitoring and managing piece. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nisa. So as Nisa mentioned, the monitoring managing section of the TOD strategy helps measure success. It also provides some guidance or goalposts that could be fed into other planning documents, either at the region or the area municipal level. The transportation-oriented development guidelines, to a certain extent, are contained in secondary plans and corridor plan urban design studies. And the purpose of the guidelines is really just to set up a common reference point across the region that can be covered within the TOD places. Also, a set of key performance indicators, or KPIs as we call them, are outlined in the strategy. and they're organized around each of the 6 key guideline themes. Most of these measures are based on existing data sources that can be accessed regularly, but they need to be collected in an organized and consistent way to provide meaningful and measurable data that can be compared over time. So excerpts of the key performance indicators are included here in these 2 columns, but the document also provides the data sources themselves, how regularly updates are made, and who is responsible for collecting the data. The strategy also recommends an update within the next 10 years or so as situations change. So in terms of the value of the TOD strategy, we feel that for the planners, it creates a toolbox of common reference points for planning and designing TOD places in Durham Region. It complements the Envision Durham Regional Official Plan to create TOD places through detailed guidelines that support the relevant policies in the plan. It establishes an understanding of TOD places as areas where redevelopment and growth can be best aligned with investments in existing and future transit. It creates more transit supportive communities by encouraging growth patterns, community form, and infrastructure investments that align with transit, and approaches design considerations for new developments, as well as the adjacent public realm on the road rights of way, from an equity and community building perspective. So that concludes our presentation, and I'd like to thank the team for all the hard work on the project, and now there's an opportunity for any questions or discussion on the strategy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Questions? No questions, but Commissioner, you wanted to make a comment?
Sure, if there's no questions, I just want to add to what the presentation was, and I'm biased, but I think the document is brilliant. And I think that, you know, in all the work we do, sometimes lately in particular, we hear transit-oriented development, and we automatically associate it with the Go East extension to Bowmanville, and that's where our frame of reference. But I think what this has illustrated is that transit-oriented development is so much more than that, and it's really about getting the greater mix of opportunities, commercial, residential, at all manner of transit intersections where it happens. And so they've talked about the various TOD places and the strategies and so on. So I think I'd also just want to point out too that transportation planning in Durham resides in the planning division because it recognizes the way in which land use planning is joined at the hip with transportation planning. You can't uncouple the two. So I think this report, this document has done a tremendous job of, as Melanie said, taking it to the next level, modernizing it in a way that it needed to be modernized. So I think it's a great piece of work. The recommendation is to endorse, and we hope that committee will see fit to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I think so too. It's good that we start thinking more than, transit-oriented development. Well, it's what's happening along the GO line. When are we getting the GO train to Clarington, right? But there's a lot of other things. We just dealt with one in Oshawa on the transit corridor, right, on Harmony Road. And how do you, equate things to that, and what should be around it, what should be near it, and all those other hubs that are there. So I think it's well done. Very good report. Thank you for the presentation. And we've got Mayor Collier now that has decided he wants a question. Go ahead, Mayor Collier.
Actually, Chair, I'm just going to move the recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, when we get to the report, then I'll accept that from you then. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to 5.2. Eileen Kennedy, Economic Development Specialist, who's going to give us a presentation on film and television sector development. Good morning, Eileen.
Good morning. Nice to be here. Yes, and as you mentioned, I'm the Creative Industry Specialist for the region of Durham, and it's great to share with you the exciting film and television industry that's come to Durham and has been flourishing for the past 10 years. So before 2012, the region of Durham had no internal processes for managing film-related investment inquiries, facilitating productions and permits, statistical reporting, or a sector development budget or plan. In 2012, the Durham Region Film Commission was established with support of external stakeholders, including Ontario Creates, industry unions and guilds, post-secondary institutions, and area municipalities. In 2014, the Region of Durham became a member of the Association of Film Commissions International, which provided global access, valuable resources, educational opportunities, and other benefits as a film commission. Staff built industry relationships and coordinated internal and external resources, including forming a Film and Television Advisory Committee to provide direction to that film commission. With the support of municipal film liaisons, staff streamlined processes, managed investment inquiries, and provided production logistics support. Promotions of locations, products, and services that support the industry began, along with the formal reporting to showcase economic impact and sector growth and encourage industry partnerships. Since the Film Office was formed, it's grown in capacity and resources, supporting the film industry through sector development initiatives such as, and they're listed here, I'll just go through a few of them, film and television career fairs to assist with workforce development, incubators that offer opportunities to Durham's emerging filmmakers, how to do business with the film and television industry seminars to provide business owners with opportunities to sell products and services to the film industry, film location readiness workshops to teach people about how to offer their places for filming, which brings them additional revenue. Durham actively supports the Ontario Green Screen Initiative to help the film industry go green and become more sustainable. Staff works with the Durham Hotel Association to establish cast and crew rates. Staff is a certified film commissioner, which brings a high level of expertise, experience, and resources to manage the Film Office. Post-secondary film industry spotlights assist professors in teaching students about the career opportunities in filmmaking. So there's a high demand for studio space in the GTA, mostly due to the demand for content. And the new sound stages, studios, and backlot will make Durham more attractive to the film and television industry, furthering its growth and prosperity. Triboro's Sandy Beach Studios in Pickering is a 180,000 square foot facility, and it's just a 40-minute drive from downtown Toronto and 35 minutes from Toronto Pearson International Airport, which makes it very accessible to production companies looking to stay close to Toronto. William F. White's latest studio offering is also in Pickering, and it's the largest in Canada. This 23-acre modern-day small town, considered a backlot, has been purposely built for features, TV series, and commercials. And in addition to the 30 buildings currently on the property, the town is easily expandable and can be converted to suit productions of all types, from rustic Western settings to bustling New York City streets. Footstep Studios in Uxbridge provides Foley services to large and small foreign and domestic productions, and due to their worldwide reputation, it has tripled its capacity over the past 10 years. In fact, the recent movie called Barbie had its Foley done in this very studio. The region's locations, studios, and backlot, along with our supporting businesses, are promoted through the Guide to Filming in Durham, Durham Locations Portal, Ontario Creates Digital Locations Library, Location Familiarization Tour, and trade magazines. Staff also participates in foreign and domestic trade missions and conferences where they meet with multiple levels of the production community, including studio and physical production executives, location managers, and independent producers. These events provide opportunities for lead generation, presenting Durham's film and television value proposition, building key industry relationships, and attracting film-related investment. The entertainment industry also provides opportunities for film tourism, where people go to either enjoy film screenings or visit sets where movies and television series were created. The Durham Region International Film Festival, we all know as DRIFF, is a not-for-profit film festival rooted in the communities of Durham that engages diverse audiences and filmmakers to promote film as a form of creative expression and a catalyst for community building. The 3-day event includes galas, film screenings, award ceremonies, and experiential activities. DRIFF has hosted many local and international filmmakers, connecting them with audiences through post-screening question and answer periods, workshops, panels, and networking events. In 2017 and 2018, Film Durham welcomed 258 people for the On Location with Hannibal film tours. Fans of the shows were from Ireland, England, Wales, France, Germany, the Czech Republic, Poland, Japan, US, Canada, and Taiwan. They visited locations, shopped, and enjoyed their lunch in Durham Region. When tourists or residents are on these tours, they spend money at the local stores, restaurants, and hotels. The film and television industry is thriving in Ontario. It's creating tens of thousands of jobs and increasing its economic impact year after year. In 2022, Ontario had a record-breaking year with 419 projects generating $3.15 billion in production spend across the province, and that included in Durham Region. Durham's film and television industry is rapidly growing too. And in 2022, there were 598 production days, almost 600, from 74 projects. In the past 10 years, since the Durham Region Film Office was formed, the film and television industry in Durham has experienced a 290% increase in production value and 167% growth in production days. Major domestic and foreign studios that bring their projects to Durham are, an example, Disney, CBS, Paramount, Amazon, Netflix, Shaftesbury, CBC, Apple TV, and MGM. Projects typically filming in Durham have changed back in 2012 from small independent productions to now we have high-budget feature films, TV series, and commercials. So since 2012, Durham's film and television industry has had significant growth and economic impact with film-related investment and some great accomplishments. Our film-friendly communities, seamless scouting, permitting, and troubleshooting services, combined with an availability of unique locations and our infrastructure, has established Durham as a desired filming location for productions working in and around the GTA. Foreign and domestic production companies purchase a wide variety of goods and services from across the Greater Toronto Area, and most of these are available in Durham Region. Staff is developing a refreshed strategic plan with various initiatives to keep that spending here and provide more well-paying jobs in this creative industry. So thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me with the contact information provided, or I'll take questions now too.
Thank you. Questions to the presentation? Councillor Pickles. Oh, you went off there. Can you send a request again, Dave? There you go. Councillor Pickles?
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the presentation. I know the film industry has been very successful and provided a lot of opportunities out here. I was just curious, to what degree does our success here depend on outside factors, whether it's, I'll say, the free trade agreement or the value of the dollar or lack thereof, the dollar of the value in that? Does it go up and down, or are we steadily going up?
We are fairly steady because for two reasons. The dollar, as we all know, is staying fairly steady, where U.S. productions especially love to come to Canada because they get more bang for their buck. They get more value for their dollar. And the other piece that stays the same is the Ontario tax credits. Our Minister of Finance and our Ontario Film Commission and through Ontario Creates is absolutely committed to keeping that tax credit year after year after year. They have a suite of tax credits from everything from animation to special effects to foreign or domestic productions. So they're very committed to keeping that stable. And so people down there, especially down in LA, where the major studios are, they know that. And they know that we have a very strong film crew, cast and crew up here in Toronto to receive their projects.
You mentioned the tax credits. I know it's very, very important to the production companies. Do we need, I seem to recall it, the career fair we had in Pickering, and I think it was 2 years ago. I don't think it was 1 year ago, but it was very well attended. They emphasized that anybody wishing to participate in the film industry has to make sure that they're eligible or in line with the Ontario tax grants, because it's very important to the industry. Is that a message that we need to get out to local businesses that would wish to participate in the film productions?
I believe you were referring to the How to Do Business with the Film and Television Industry seminar that we did in Pickering. That was great. That was hosted there. And yes, the location managers, production coordinator, and production manager on the panel were indicating that people need to research the tax credits and where those specific expenses, what eligible expenses are allowed, so that you can, when you're doing a tax credit calculation, that the production company can maximize the most, that they can get back the most money. So they were encouraging the business owners to make sure that their products and services are definitely eligible for the tax credit, and most of them are. But I think they were also encouraging them to go on the Ontario Production Guide and to list that business so that everyone knows when they come to Ontario, what do you have to offer for products and services out here in Durham.
Okay, thanks. Final question. Has the Pickering Casino Resort, the casinos there, the hotels there now, and Porsche Experiences is under development, it's coming. Has that become a destination of preference for filming, or do you expect that it might with the growth of the Porsche Experience, the racetrack and everything there?
Well, since that is a private development, and the Triborough Studios piece of it to the west strip of that piece of property, it was always intended that that would be a purpose-built studio with the very high, 60-foot high ceilings, etc., and beautiful offices. That is still there. I believe it's kind of on the back burner at the moment, while Tribal Studios took over an industrial building down on Sandy Beach Road instead for the moment, and they have renovated that. And yes, it has lower ceilings. It's got like 25-foot, 22-foot ceilings, which are not ideal, but it does allow for quite a few productions still to do their work there. And I know they've got beautiful offices, and they've got 3 sound stages. So for now, that's what they're looking at proposing to the film industry. That's what they have to offer at the moment. As for the development for the actual purpose-built studios, that still remains to be seen.
Okay, I was just more curious as to whether the casino and the hotel have been used to film commercials or movies as yet, and whether you see the Porsche Experience, racetrack situation and stuff as a potential draw for the filming industry to use.
I think for sure it's going to be a draw. It's going to be another one of those gems, those locations that we can start directing people to and start advertising. And actually, I'm meeting tomorrow with the manager of this casino to talk about having the casino, the hotel, the lobby area, everything that's available, even the hotel rooms for accommodations, right? To have them available and advertise on the Ontario Creates Digital Location Library and the Ontario Production Guide. And I've already connected those people with that. So we're already working on that. But for sure, it's a
Okay,
real
great.
gem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Duty calls, David. Any other questions? Nope. Then thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have report 24P10, which is the Durham Transit Oriented Development Strategy. It was moved by Mayor Collier. I need a seconder. Councillor Kerr. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, then anybody opposed? No, then that carries. Report 24, or 2024 EDT 8, the Film and Television Sector Development. That's a receive for information. Can I have a mover, Councillor Kerr, seconded by Chair Henry. Any comments, questions, or otherwise? Anybody in opposition? No, then that carries. We move down to other business. I'm going to ask the commissioner to give us some information. We did get some correspondence back from the provincial government on Envision Durham, our official plan. And Commissioner Bridgman, if you can bring us up to speed on that, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Committee Chair Chapman. Yesterday morning, Colleen Goodchild and I were meeting, as we always do on Monday morning, and thinking how we're coming up to the 1-year mark of Council's adoption of the new regional official plan, and thinking we really need to hear something from the province. And but an hour or so later, we received the letter from the province, more specifically it being a draft decision. So the draft decision that we've received provides the detailed list of 77 proposed modifications that the province would intend to make as part of its approval of the region's official plan. And that's not uncommon. That's something that the province would normally do, make certain modifications and so on. We've only just started to look at those modifications. As I say, there's 77, and they fall into a few baskets. Some are relatively minor and straightforward. Some modifications are for the purposes of clarification. Some of the modifications incorporate specific requests from other ministries, like Ministry of Natural Resources and Ministry of the Environment and so on. And some of them, 17 I think the number was given to me, are modifications that we specifically requested to incorporate regional council's decisions on other matters over the past year, just to make sure it's as up to date as possible. So as I say, we're looking at all those in more detail. But there's two areas that I do want to point out in particular. One is that the ministry is proposing not to approve the better part of Northeast Pickering because much, not all, but most of the Northeast Pickering land area is covered by a minister zoning order from 1972 that was put in place to protect for the future airport in Pickering. So that minister zoning order really doesn't permit development. And so I presume the thinking of the ministry is, well, then it would be premature to approve that aspect of the regional official plan because of this minister zoning order from 1972. And as I say, it's most of the area, but not all. The other matter we noted was that the ministry does not intend to approve that 100-acre block north of the Uxville Industrial Park that was discussed during the council deliberation. Mayor Barton felt it was very important for their industrial land supply. We pointed out that those lands are located within the Oak Ridges Moraine, and notwithstanding the fact they are what I'd say fairly heavily encumbered by other existing surrounding land uses like a gravel pit and some concrete batching and things like that, the ministry has decided that they don't intend to allow that industrial expansion because of the Oak Ridges Moraine. So in terms of how we tend to proceed now, the commenting deadline is June the 5th. So that's going to come up very quickly. Yesterday, the letter was sent to our area municipal planning counterparts. So all our local area municipal planners have it, and I do know they've started to send it to their mayors and CAOs and things like that. What we plan to do is for this Friday's council information package, we'll put the letters in there with a short covering memo from me, just basically saying what I've just said now. In order to meet the June 5th deadline, what we are proposing to do is bring a report to the May 29th council meeting that will provide our staff recommendations on this basket of 77 proposed modifications so that we can get back to the province by the 5th. And then later on today, Colleen and I will be meeting with clerks just to talk about delegations. Are delegations allowed to come? If so, do they need to register, et cetera? And so I don't have any more information on that. So that report that will be going to the May 29th council meeting, we will have ready for when the council agenda comes out. But there's a lot for us to go through and digest, but that's in less than 24 hours. That's what we know so far.
So bearing in mind that the staff haven't done a complete review of everything and how to answer the questions that will come to us on the May 29th meeting in order to meet the deadline. So if you have any questions, I see Mayor Collier, you want to speak there. Please bear in mind that they may not have any answers yet because they haven't got the full detail in their minds yet. So Mayor Collier?
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Mr. Bridgman. It's good news, about time. We, as a council, both municipally and here, approved a number of conversion requests as part of the regional official plan. And I followed up, as I think everybody's aware, 16 months ago with further MZO requests on the 5 that were in Ajax. Do the 77 comments, Mr. Bridgman, address those? Because they've been outstanding for quite a long time. It's a real slap in the face for me to receive a letter from the province saying we haven't met our targets. Meanwhile, they're holding up 4,200 units in those 5 applications.
Commissioner?
From what we can tell so far, they address them by not addressing them. In other words, it appears that they have no concern with those types of conversions that were part of the council's recommendation.
Okay, so outside of Northeast Pickering and the industrial land in Uxbridge, all of the other conversion requests, from what you're saying, it doesn't appear, or are there any of them that the province, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing has concerns with or no?
Mr. Chair, I'll look over toward Colleen and see if she has any more detail than mine. But I think as it stands at this moment, they all seem to be fine. Colleen?
Sure. Director Goodchild?
Thank you. Through you, Chair Chapman. So the idea of the modifications that we received were any changes that the province is proposing to our plan. The idea that the conversions were adopted by council means that they would also be then accepted by the province, is my interpretation of what we've received yesterday.
Okay, and so just timeline-wise, we're going to have a meeting on the 29th of May, and comments are due by the 5th of June. Do we have any anticipation of how long after June 5th before the regional official plan is passed and will be in law?
Yes, we're hoping before this time next year. No. I think your guess is as good as ours at this stage. I mean, we'll pass what, the comments and speak about them, amend them, whatever, on the 29th. They'll give them into the province as quickly as possible to meet that June 5th deadline. How long they take, some of our comments may change some of their mind in our favor. We don't know. That's really up in the air, Mayor, as to when it'll come. I mean, we've been told what you've been told personally, I've been told personally over the last, at least over the last 5 months, that it's at the top of the pile and it'll be there tomorrow type thing. And we finally got it yesterday, so.
Yeah, there's been a number of deadlines.
Yes.
It's been frustrating. Okay, I look forward to the meeting on the 29th. I'll have to clear that day. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. Any other? Well, if you can't turn on your mic, you can't speak, sorry. No. Try it again.
Oh, it's working. Hey, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Obviously, I received this news yesterday as well. Extremely concerned We desperately need industrial land in Uxbridge. That 100 acres was extremely important to us. And, we will continue to work to try and find solutions to get more jobs in Uxbridge. That is an area that, I think we had won against at the region. It was unanimous at Uxbridge. It just makes sense. We will continue to work to try and find a way forward with this industrial land. Thank you.
And I would assume, Mayor Barton, that you'll send something into the staff about how important it is that they can utilize when they're making the draft comments, although they already know a lot of that, but it wouldn't hurt to have something on an Uxbridge letterhead, either resolution of your council or something like that, that would help them when they prepare their draft responses. Okay? Okay. Any other? Yes, Chair Henry.
Chair, to Mr. Bridgman, this order that is on that land is almost as old as I am. I don't understand the rationale for lands that have been put into a position like this, where the federal government controls such a large piece of property, and the lack of decision it's 50 years. Like, is there any other piece of property in Ontario that you know of that has been basically put in a hiatus for 50 years?
Through you, Chair, no, I'm not aware of anywhere else.
Yeah, it's just, Chair, it's just disappointing that in a time when we are expected to meet the expectations of both the provincial and federal government related to housing, and that this particular parcel of land is basically just been parked and potentially could be parked forever. I just disappointed, and I really don't know what to do, Chair.
I think there's a lot of disappointment there, but I'm sure the staff in the comments going back will have some kind of comment on that we can agree to or emphasize higher or lower or whatever when it comes to council. But I know staff are aware of that, and the same discussions, 1972, this has been in holding because there might be an airport there. So I'm sure the staff will take that into consideration when they make their comments on the what the province is asking us to comment on. That will be one of the issues.
Well, today, when you read your corporate communications, the federal government is going to pass the provincial government, just pass them by for dollars to go into housing. I throw my hands up in the air, and I'm confused, and I'm questioning how both levels of government have seemed to miss the ball on this.
And you're not the only one, Chair Henry, and the discussions with staff, same thing. Like, why is this happening? It does change some of our meeting the needs for the land going up to the population growth to 2050 by some of these changes. So I'm sure once staff digest all the areas in this draft thing, and brings the comments back to us, that we'll have some good things to discuss on the 29th and to send to the province to see whether we can turn some of it around more so in our favor. Sure.
So, thank you. So, well, it's not in your update, your verbal update, Commissioner. The 580 hectares of land, I believe, that is called the Durham Forest, that the province wants from us to build the large urban forest connections, has also been stagnant for a while. Do we have any idea of what's going on with that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't have a specific update. I know that it's generally resides in Christine Dunkley's shop in terms of working with the various parties on that initiative, but I don't have a more specific update.
So let me just try in my mind. So we're giving up 580 hectares of land to build what the province wants to do, and I agree, it's a good idea. And at the same time, we've asked for 100 acres of land that is surrounded by businesses in Uxbridge. There really is not, it is part of the Greenbelt, but doesn't really fit that. It's actually been, how would you say, stranded lands. And it doesn't make sense. So we're going to give them 580 hectares. What's the conversion for that in acres?
Probably, say 12 or 1,400 acres.
To do the right thing. And then we're stuck with stranded lands in Uxbridge that potentially could have supported employment, and that's stranded. There's also land stranded along Highway number 2 in Durham as well, small farm parcels of 100 acres or less that equipment can't be moved down the roads. They're not active farms. They're stuck in limbo. Disappointed. I'm sure the mayor of Uxbridge is disappointed, as well as our team here at the region. There was a lot of work put in by our staff and this council to come up with this plan. And, you know, like Chair Chapman, I was told the last time the Minister of Municipal Affairs was in Whitby for a tour of 1635 that was on the corner of his desk. Didn't lead to us that there would be this drastic kind of change to it, that his team was going over it. I'm concerned, and I'm concerned that you got it in the form of a letter and not a phone call and a heads up first is disappointing, because I would expect that if we changed anything related to the Durham Forest going to the province, that, you know, a phone call to the minister, who happens to be the Minister of Finance for that riding, would be the appropriate way to have a conversation before the letter coming from us. So I share Mayor Barton's disappointment and the loss of jobs that affect our residents, because our residents may live anywhere in the region, but they choose to work where they want to work. And jobs are jobs, right?
If I may, Mr. Chair, just to follow up on the last point, you're correct that over the last year, Colleen, myself, and others had reached out to our counterparts at the ministry staff. Can you tell us anything? Is there any feedback you're getting? Any comments you can provide us? And this was really the first we had heard about the direction that the ministry was planning to take on the plan.
So I think as much as there's a lot of disappointment in there, I trust our staff is going to do the right thing in, you know, putting it under a microscope, what's there, coming back with the appropriate comments that, you know, to let the province and the provincial staff know what's going on from our viewpoint, and we'll see what council's position is on the 29th. And then hopefully promises that we might get after the 5th of June, saying it's on the corner of the desk and it'll be here any day now, will actually come true, and at least we'll finalize Envision Durham so that we can move on, because I know some of the other area municipalities, such as Oshawa, they're doing their municipal reviews, which obviously tie into the regional official plan. So, yeah. Thank you. Like I say, leave it with staff. I trust that they're going to do some really good work. And we are now down to motion to adjourn. Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Moved by, seconded by Chair Henry. Anybody opposed to adjourning? Everybody have a good day. Take care.